All right, we are live. Welcome to Beastly Thoughts, episode 153. We got a lot to go over today, so none of this small talk shit, guys. Let's just jump right into it. What do you guys think?
Small talk shit.
Get rid of all this extra extraneous bullshit, and let's talk about some fucking video games.
Yeah, man. I got to be honest. I didn't really give a shit about any of you anyway. So.
Fuck you too, Gary. Unbelievable.
As they said in the 80s, that's what friends are for.
That's
Gary,
what friends are for.
Yes. Keep smiling. Damn.
Beastly, you've been all over Twitter today telling us about this game. Let's hear it. What have you been playing, man?
The big game I've been playing this week, and I beat it yesterday, was Little Nightmares, a brand new game that just released for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. What it is it's a game in similar vein to Limbo and games like Inside. So you'll notice that graphical style. It's a third-person action puzzler. So there's lots of puzzles. You're trying to escape. This game, the storyline, or if you can call it that, the whole feel of the game is very similar to me. If you guys have seen an old anime by Studio Ghibli called Spirited Away, where this little girl named Chihiro goes with her mother and father, they're moving, they go through a tunnel, and some really crazy stuff happens, and she finds herself in this really fantastical world full with danger and intrigue and characters that are just, otherworldly. And the game is called Little Nightmares because a lot of the characters and creatures you run into in this game are ripped directly from your nightmares. Yeah. It's a very stylistic game. When you see the characters in the world, it's like a very beautiful style game, but at the same time, they put so much detail into the enemies and the creatures that are after you.
Like beautiful in like a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of way, right?
That's what it is.
It's very dark and grim, but gorgeously
that's
animated.
Exactly what I called it. And that was the other half of what I said it was like. Studio Ghibli meets The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is a Nightmare Before Christmas style to it as well, but the world is very reminiscent of what you find in Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away with this little girl, Chihiro. The game, you find yourself awakening in a strange world as a young girl. As you explore and look for a way out of this beautiful and terrifying world, you encounter beings that are horrifying and are dead set on killing and eating you. And it's really weird. Ooh. And the reason I say that this game is very reminiscent to Spirited Away, a big proponent or a big part of that film was these beings in this other world, like going all in, eating like a big smorgasbord. Everyone was eating and going crazy eating in Spirited Away. And this game is very similar. You find yourself surrounded by beings that would love nothing more than to devour you immediately. But they're so, into the moment eating at these tables that you're able to run through them. And if they see you, they'll reach out and try to grab you. And there were so many times in this game, my wife played right next to me. We basically beat the game within 2 minutes of each other because she was playing on her TV, I was playing on mine. And we screamed out loud so many times playing this game. The game is a short game. It's only $20, and if you have $20 of expendable income, I say you should definitely pick it up. If you like games that are scary, but not, Resident Evil 7 type of scary, but basically hide and seek type of situations where there are creatures that look horrifying, they know you're there. There might be, for instance, be something that's blind, but it can smell you. And it's coming around the corner through a dark corridor, and you're running, trying to get out of the way and hide under tables, and it's reaching around trying to grab you. It knows you're there. Those moments are very frightening and frantic. And the creatures, let me just say, if you guys
creature design is fantastic.
Yes,
it's really
if you remember the books, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, back when I was a kid, those were some of my favorite horror novels to read. And the creatures in this game look like they're ripped directly from those books. There's one creature, the first one that you really come in contact with that really wants to get you. It's just imagine a man, and everything in this game is gigantic. So the character you are is about that big on the screen. And the things that she comes into contact with are huge, like elephant size, but they're in the shape or mold of, I guess, human beings. But there's this guy whose his legs are about 2 inches long on the screen, but his arms are about 20 inches long. So it looks really creepy and scary when he comes looking for you and reaching for you. There was a part of the game where I was trying to escape him, and I thought I was out of his reach, and I saw his arm coming way up, and I jumped out of the way just as his arm reached it and grabbed exactly where I was at. And these moments scared the bejesus out of me. It was a great experience. The game has a great soundtrack. The puzzles that they use in this game for you to get to the next area are very unique. And I think that the story of this game will become unique to every person who plays it, because the way that the story is told is really through your own experience. And at the end of the game, when you beat the game, it'll mean something different for each person, I think. It was a great game.
Beasley, talk to me about the controls a little bit, because that's the biggest concern I have about this game from watching it, is it does look a little bit finicky. It looks like, you know, a lot of the time you might be trying to solve a puzzle, meaning you're trying to like escape something, and you may have the right idea, but for some reason the controls decided to fight you a little bit, and maybe you...
Well, I've had maybe one, possibly two instances of that. The game is a 3D type of puzzler, so it might look like you're actually on flat ground, but you don't know that if you walk forward or back a little bit, you'll slide off to your death. So sometimes you have to be extra aware. The control scheme is
those
very
old brawlers from the 90s, right?
Yeah,
so it's like a
Double
3D...
Dragon. Yeah, yes. It has that kind of feel to it, and sometimes the camera pans out to show you a huge scene while you're actually playing, and you can make the wrong movement, slightly go off, or you might open up a door and immediately walk to the other side of the door and fall off of the map because you're not paying close attention to where your footing is. Also, the actual gameplay controls are a little bit different than what we're used to. The jump, the run buttons are all, in different places than we're used to. In order to grab items, you got to hold down on PlayStation 4 the R2 button. In order to push things, it's the L2 button. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. The environments are completely everything in the world you can pretty much interact with. You can pick up things. You can pick up these little, I call them little pyramid heads. They look like gnomes. They're actually smaller than the girl. And if you capture them, they actually unlock the concept art for the game, which really looks like Spirited Away, believe it or not. And if you capture them, you can pick them up and throw them. You can use items to throw at enemies. Or you remember the Monkey Shines film or the book? It shows the monkey on the front with the two bells and he ding, ding, ding,
oh,
ding.
yeah,
ding.
yeah.
You'll find those throughout the game. They're just toys and shoes and crazy items. You can tell a lot of people like this little girl have actually been killed because there's one room that's filled with just
I saw that, the shoes.
Ooh.
Yeah, filled with shoes and things like that. And you'll find toys, and like this little monkey, if you pick it up and you throw it, it'll start making that sound, and you use that for certain enemies to like get them off track or get them to go in a different direction so you can escape.
One of the other concerns I have about this game is that while it's beautiful, the actual puzzle elements aren't that complex, right? From what I've seen, it looks like, it is pretty simple, like throw this thing to get them away from you and then run the other way. And the fact that you and your wife both finished it within 5 minutes of each other means that you probably weren't stuck on too many puzzles. You just ran right through this thing.
There were parts that she was completely stuck on, and maybe she was 5 or 10 minutes ahead of me. And when I got to that part of the game without asking her for help, I tried it and maybe I'd find it and vice versa. So there were times that I was completely stuck and she says, well, I tried this and it worked. Then I'll go back and try it. Let me say about the puzzles. I don't know how much of this game that you actually saw, but there are some pretty deep puzzles in this game and stuff you would never think of. I'll just give an example. There's a portion of the game where you're on a table and there's a meat grinder in front of you. Of course, it's a giant meat grinder. And you, what do? You grab the little handle and you start grinding the meat that's already inside the grinder. And you see like a little sausage link come out and you're trying to figure out how to get to the next area. You have to leave that room, go up above you, find some ham, open up a little trap door, drop the ham into the meat grinder from above, and then come down and make more sausages so you can jump onto those sausages to shimmy your way up and jump out into the next area. So there's just... You would never think of that just looking at the game. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, there are these random encounters with these beings from hell. And like I told Kate, I've heard the term numerous times in my life, but this is the first time that I actually said it on my own. This is nightmare fuel. When you see these things coming, you're like, oh my God, this is something literally from my nightmare. Just seeing them and the way they interact, there's these big chefs. Everything in this game is like morbidly obese. There are these giant chefs whose faces look like they've just been destroyed, almost humanistic, but not really, there's one scene where he's cooking something, like he's chopping up some raw meat, and he goes to eat some of it, and he grabs his chin and lifts up his face and sticks his hand underneath his face and eats it. And I was like, oh my God, this is
what?
So it's insane.
Oh, I love this already. Oh my God.
This game is just a hell of a lot of fun. The moment I beat it, and I watched the ending, it has to be a part 2. I pray it is. And when you find out where you are, what's going on in this game at the end, it's like a big eye-opening moment. And at that time, you have to decide what really happened. And
So,
I like that.
Basically, you say it's a horror game. I mean, what about for the people on, amongst us gamers that are certified pussies like myself?
or Briar.
We
No.
enjoy horror games.
I started to go down that rabbit hole a moment ago when I said it's not a horror game like Resident Evil. Nothing ever feels like you're in a dire type of strait. I mean, it's horror, but it's horror that kids can deal with. I let my 4-year-old play this game, and the thing that frustrated her the most is the puzzles, not the enemies. So it's definitely Briar. I would love to see you stream this. I would love to see it because I call myself a manly man, but I was screaming like a bitch during certain parts of this game where these things were after you, and something is very off-putting about the character design of these enemies. The way that they look, it seems so real. It seems like a nightmare. It looks like Coraline or one of these very stylized films that have come out over the last few years for children. But it's a beautiful game. It plays. It's fun. It's fun to play. It plays well.
It looks great. Would say it looks fantastic.
Give it a try. It's $20. I think you guys can all afford that. And I
only available on PlayStation right now.
No, it's on Xbox One and PC as well. So if you want to get it on your PC, I would say do that if you wanted the absolute best experience. I didn't see any graphical hiccups on the PS4. I was playing on the Pro. Didn't notice any issues with it. But of course, if you want the best optimal experience, it's probably on the PC.
What's the name of the game again? I forgot.
Little Nightmares.
Little Nightmares.
It's really good. I promise you will love that game.
I think I'm going to pick this up. I think I will pick it up for PC so I can play it.
I think you just sold me too.
Yeah, I think I will pick it up and play it on the... that way I can play it up here, or I can play it on the TV downstairs on the stream.
Yeah, it's a great game, and I don't go on Twitter too much talking about the games I play, but it's I don't know how many people have been.
Why do you hate people on Twitter? Let's investigate that.
No,
what the hell,
you're not sharing your knowledge with the people on Twitter. You're keeping it to yourself. What's up with that?
Hey, guess what? I keep what's in my X files to myself. Not telling you nothing. But I would definitely say to try this game, guys. It's great. Gary, you're a hardcore gamer, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this game after playing it. I know you got the special edition you showed us on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I just held it up just then, just for people that want to know. It actually comes on the consoles, not the PC version, but there's a physical box that comes with a nice little statue and some art books and some other things. And also for people who are interested, if you're talking about multi-plat, on the PS4 there is apparently pro support, pro enhancement. So whether that's 4K or whether that's additional shading, I'm sure that it must look stunning on that.
I thought I watched a Giant Bomb video on it. I think they said that it was 60 frames per second.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Then it's as good as PC.
Can't beat that. And see, the thing with my PlayStation Pro, and I'll probably end up taking my 4K 60-inch in the living room and swapping it out. I can't capture PlayStation Pro 4K assets on my Elgato, and that's a real issue for me.
Let's talk, Beasley. Let's talk.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Okay, great. Sounds good to me, man.
Anything else, Beasley?
I did a little. The Call of Duty Modern Warfare, World War II reveal happened, and that kind of got me and my wife excited for the future of Call of Duty. Yeah. Going back to boots on the ground, it looks great. The trailer is the first trailer for Call of Duty to me that really got me excited in a really long time. The trailers for the last couple of years have been kind of lacking, and when I saw this trailer, I was like, wow, this looks like it's going to have a hell of a campaign. It looks realistic. It looks like it's going to be great, and I can't wait to play it. Let me play some Call of Duty. So I spent a few hours throughout the week playing Infinite Warfare, which I didn't like nearly as much. And so I went back to Black Ops 3 and played that for a while. I probably put about 4 or 5 hours just back into it just to, to get my feet wet again. But ultimately, I ended up walking away from it because it doesn't offer me anything new at this point. So
I still have my copy of Call of Duty 2 for the Xbox 360. Really? Yeah, it was like a launch game for the 360. I still have a copy of that. I should throw that in.
You can play it on Xbox One as well.
Is it back compatible?
Yep.
Good. I've got it on PC still.
Everything on Xbox 360 is like backwards compatible now. Microsoft has been killing it with backwards compatibility.
They have been.
They have really been killing it. It's been insane. And that's been my games for the week. I had a great time. I think that Little Nightmares really capped my weekend, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have been playing.
Robbie, you've been playing some Call of Duty too, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much the same as Beast. The World War II reveal really got me excited, so I went back and played some Call of Duty as well.
Do we want to talk about the reveal now, or is that going to be in the news later?
It's the first bit of the news.
Okay, so we'll talk about the reveal. Okay.
We'll talk about it soon.
Okay.
So yeah, first Call of Duty game I tried out was Ghosts, and I know Briar, obviously, you and I, like, we know Ghosts got kind of a bad rap. I personally really like the game like you do. I think the only issue I had with it was some of the maps were a little large. You know, it would take a long time to find people, but it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I just wish the player count wasn't so small, because there is like 1,000 people playing on PS4, which is such a shame, because I think the game's fun. I really do.
I love that game. It was. I really do love that game.
How many Call of Duties have released since Ghost? There's been three releases, right?
Yeah.
Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Infinite Warfare.
And then COD Remastered as well with it.
Was
right.
Ghost released on the Wii U, wasn't it? I think Ghost was on the Wii U.
I don't recall.
Yes,
Was
it was. Yeah, it was.
And I want to see the player population on that one. How many people are playing Wii U Ghost right now?
We actually had a guy on this podcast one time who mained Wii U on that game.
Really?
Mr. Hutton Noobs. Remember when we had him on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He mained Wii U for that game. I think he did for Black Ops 2 as well.
Black Ops 2, yeah, he did. That was his favorite, yeah.
Man, how's that working out for him right now?
He used to love beating up on them kitties.
Oh, man.
He was a great guy. We should have him on again. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So what are you thinking now, Robbie? You played Ghost. Did you play any other ones? Infinite Warfare, did you say?
I've played pretty much all of them. The next one I tried was Advanced Warfare, and I will say, fuck that game. Seriously, like, I don't understand. Like, I liked it when it came out. I got kind of burnt out on it. I tried playing it this week. It's just, you're jumping and boosting all over the place. It just feels like a mess. I was like, I don't like this. Shut the game down. Went and played some Call of Duty 4 Remastered and had a way better time with that, man. And I know people have been kind of upset about the whole, supply drops and microtransactions, and they've added a new map pack to the game. But aside from all that, the core game is a lot of fun because it's the most classic Call of Duty there is, and it feels good to play. And I've been having a blast with that. That's been really fun. Mm-hmm. Also been playing Infinite Warfare, which I will surprisingly say I had fun with too, although it pisses me off the amount of bullshit in that game. Like, my God, there's just so many grenades that seek onto you, and there's like drones flying around, and it's ridiculous. It's fun, but it makes me so mad. I'm like, they just tried to put too much into this game.
I put an hour into the multiplayer of that, Robbie, and when I realized how easy it was to quickscope, I was like, why would you use any other weapon?
That's the thing too, yeah. The sniping was
unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
So, I've got a question for you about the Call of Duty and the whole boost jumping and sliding and wall running. Why is it that on Call of Duty there's such a violent response when it moves in that direction, but on Destiny people applaud the movement system that's gone that way? Is it the time to kill?
No, it's that was Destiny's first game, and Destiny kind of came out with something new. At that time, it was what Briar called the year of the double jump. I remember it. And Destiny didn't have its lineage on the ground, like Call of Duty did. Call of Duty started off with mini games just strictly on the ground, and then they went to the future and became futuristic weapons and then futuristic movement, which was off-putting to a lot of people who started initially playing the game when it was boots on the ground, and they loved it for what it was, and originally. So I think that was what a lot of the uproar was about, is that a lot of people felt, and I think Briar included, felt like it didn't feel like Call of Duty. I actually remember when Advanced Warfare came out, and we talked about it on this show a few years ago. Briar said it. He said, it doesn't feel like Call of Duty to me. And I'm thinking that a lot of that came from the aspect of the change in movement. And I got to say, at this point, I kind of agree with it. I think that Black Ops 3 kind of toned it back from Advanced Warfare. But when you think about Call of Duty in its infancy and what made it great and what made it, a renowned game around the world, it was just boots on the ground, tactical,
it was
run and gun.
It was a really nice blend between tactical but also arcadey.
Yeah,
right?
run and gun.
Fast, but also there was a mind game in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So you think it's its attachment to the COD brand? The reason I say that is obviously Destiny's got an advanced movement system, and then games like Titanfall, which Titanfall 2 was widely applauded as a really well put together game with a solid multiplayer. Mm-hmm. But that had, Call of Duty on LSD sort of movement. It was real quick, fluid movement, but there was praise
map
for that
design.
game.
I think is a big deal too. You look at Titanfall's and Titanfall 2's map design. It seems like they were built from the ground up with this new movement style in mind, right? Especially Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2's maps are superb.
They are.
When you look at Advanced Warfare's maps, it was like they were designed to be boots on the ground maps, and all of a sudden there's fucking people flying all over the place. Like, it didn't make any sense.
That's the thing, too. When I was playing Advanced Warfare, you just bump into stuff all the time. I'm like, this just feels so cumbersome. It's weird. Like it really does. Yeah.
And you'd probably see the same kind of backlash in games like Destiny 2 or Killzone or Titanfall 3 if they made it strictly boots on the ground in the future. People who played it originally will be upset because they changed the original movement from what started the franchise off. So if Titanfall 3 just had straight boots on the ground and you couldn't double jump, you couldn't wall run, people would be upset because it's not what made them come to the franchise in the first place. And so the reverse is that what you see with Call of Duty in the last few years has been the case.
Interesting. No, I just wanted to explore that point. Thank you.
Gary,
and
what
I mean,
up
for
to?
me...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Robbie.
I was just going to add in real quick that for me, I mean, I like the movement system. Personally, not Advanced Warfare. I don't like that game. I think every other Call of Duty I have enjoyed. Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, not as much as the older ones, just because it felt like more of the same, right? Like, that did feel like Call of Duty, but it was just with a new movement system. So, I still enjoy those games, but not as much as the past. But that's it. All right.
Gary, what have you been up to?
So, apart from buying PlayStation Vitas, which
he bought a lot of
saving the Vita.
Show them what you got, please, Gary, because you're the man. You are the fucking man when it comes to Vita.
I don't know if I have props to hand, but I'll show one that I've got here. Now, I've been buying some out of print classic Vitas. So in Japan they printed
Vitas.
something classic Vitas. No, in Japan, they released a Cosmic Blue, Cosmic Red, and an Alpha Sapphire original Vita. So I've purchased
so the
they're all kind of.
Yeah, that looks good, man.
See the thing.
I like that.
So I bought both of those, and it kind of is becoming a slight obsession now. I should probably stop buying them before I have to sort of sell the kid and remortgage the house.
Don't do that.
But yeah, that's kind of got me into the mindset of sort of playing the library that I've bought. I mean, I'm up to about 65 games now on the Vita, and one series that I really wanted to dig into, and it's not Vita exclusive, so please don't tune out if you don't have a Vita. It's the God Eater series, which I don't know if have any of you guys got any familiarity with God Eater whatsoever, or do you want me to take it from the top?
A little bit. Yeah,
I know about God Eater, but you should definitely talk about it from the top for people who don't know.
Great. So it's God Eater is a series that's on the PS4, the PS Vita, and more recently Steam. So it is on PC. So if you don't have a PS4 or Vita, you can still experience it. It's very much in the vein of Monster Hunter. So it's a beast hunting game, cooperative, very much based around online or local co-op. Effectively, you're in squads of 4, solo or squads of 4, and you go out and you take down huge beasts. Where it differs from Monster Hunter, and where I think it's worth exploring as something that's not just a Monster Hunter clone, which it often gets labelled with, is the fact that the action is far more frenetic than the Monster Hunter slower, more considered and thoughtful action. And Monster Hunter does that intentionally because it punishes poor play and wants you to move precisely and strike precisely. So for me, I like the Bayonetta feel, the Devil May Cry feel, near automata feel, if you want to say, that you get with God Eater in the combat side of things, and that's something that I've really enjoyed. So basically, you said that you've played a bit of God Eater. Have you actually got into the combat? What was your thoughts? I know you're a fan of.
Actually, the first time I experienced God Eater was actually on the PSP. God Eater's been around for a long time. It came out on the PS3 in Japan as well. I'm a fan of the Monster Hunter style games. I probably put it at the. Well, it's been so many years at this point. I probably put just 5 or 6 hours in on God Eater before something else came in and captured my attention. But from what I do remember, I did enjoy the game. But those games are very hard. You've got to master lots of skills. There's so many things you got to find in the world and craft. And for me, being my age, the patience just wears thin, and I go to something that's a little bit easier, like Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
So that's when I think God Eater. I think that's where God Eater really differentiates itself from the pack, and that's exactly my great transition. It's almost like we rehearsed it. It's like we've got a plan for the show. I like it.
Great.
Monster Hunter is unapologetic in the way that it forces you to grind for resources, crafting materials, and go through that pain of upgrading your armor, upgrading your weapon. The fluidity of gameplay in God Eater, there's constant progression. You're always moving through. The weapons and equipment is crafted on the fly. It's something, so you've still got depth, but it's not depth that requires hours and hours of grinding to get through. And that's something that I really enjoyed. Similarly as well with God Eater, I'd say Monster Hunter's got a generic fantasy medieval background. Like, you killing Lagiacruses and Nargacugas and Raytheons and Rathaloses just because they're there. You're defending a town because you happen to have showed up as a monster hunter. There's really no overarching story to it other than this town's being besieged by monsters. God Eater's got a really, really strong, deep lore in it. In fact, they actually made a 14 part anime series, which is available on Crunchyroll and completely backs up the game and takes it through. So you've got about 500 minutes, so somewhere in the region of 8 to 10 hours of quality anime that really enriches this lore and story that carries through. It feels like equal parts Pacific Rim with John Carpenter's The Thing. So it's a really entrenching and deep story, and something that even if you're not an anime fan, if you're a fan of sci-fi and a fan of post-apocalyptic monster or kaiju movies, it really fits in. So for me, that's been great. Moving on to, I guess, why you should play this and why it's a great feature. If you pick it up on the PlayStation franchise, you get two unique elements to it. One being cross-play and cross-save. I can't speak highly enough of games that have cross-play and cross-save for the Vita and the PS4, because effectively what you get is Switch Lite. So with cross-play, it means that the people that own PS Vitas can play with PS4 gameplay owners. So basically, I know that you've got yourself and your wife that play in the house. If she were to have God Eater on the Vita, you could play it on the PS4 and you could be in a hunting party together and each have your own screen and play cooperatively. So that's something that's...
Or if we got divorced, we could still play together. That's awesome.
It's perfect. Play with your ex-wife, and that's one of the
hopefully that
points.
doesn't happen.
I didn't hear you, Briar. I think you're muted.
It doesn't matter anymore.
And cross-save effectively gives it that Switch-like aspect. So I can be playing on my PS4, do 3 or 4 missions, realise that I need to go to work and actually earn some money rather than playing games all day, flick the save over onto the Vita, play on my commute, get another 3 or 4 hours in throughout that day, come back and continue on my PS4 when I get home. And there was actually about 50 titles that supported this. Seems to go under-publicised for the Vita, so things like Final Fantasy X, 10-2, World of Final Fantasy, Borderlands 2, Dragon's Crown, Binding of Isaac, Odin Sphere. All of these games have that capacity to have the Switch.
Let me ask you a question. I really enjoyed the cross-play functionality as well, but a bigger question is it cross-buy?
It's not cross-buy, but there is a really, really great value feature that you get with God Eater 2 for the PlayStation 4. So if you buy it on the Vita or the PS4, you get that PSP game that you mentioned, Beastly, the God Eater Resurrection. You get the entire first game remastered into HD graphics given to you. So that's 150 hours of gameplay on top of the 150 hours you get with God Eater 2, completely free of charge when you buy it. So it's a really good value proposition to the entire franchise for... I guess it came out 6 months ago, so you're probably going to pay maybe $40 for it now.
Wow, that's a good deal. I may end up going out and picking that up because especially the aspect of being able to play online with your friends. That's something I'm really looking forward to. I haven't played my Vita in quite a while. I think I turned it on after last week's show and played a couple of games with my daughter. But you kind of re-sparked that fire in me. I don't know if it's getting to you yet, Briar, but
I actually did turn mine on.
Really?
Yeah, I played, what was that? Side-scrolling, it'll come to me later. It was a fun game, though.
Okay.
But listen to Gary talk about these games, a lot of them which I've never played, is kind of excited me. I'm like, well, I could easily be playing that right now. It sounds great. And I think that the whole mobile thing with the Nintendo Switch, like he said, it's refueled or rekindled this fire inside him to play games on the go. And seeing his collection for the Vita in such a short period of time and how much time he's invested in some of these games and the way he's able to come back so quickly and give us these meaningful reasons to try him out, it's kind of gotten me excited. I haven't been this excited for a man in a long time, Gary.
I like, for me, if I've excited at least one man in a week, it's a week well spent. So that's kind of what I've done. Now I've got 2 other honourable mentions.
You got me excited too.
Two men. This is a dream. I've got 2 other honourable mentions for the week, which are just throwaway things, because most of my time has been spent with the Vita and the PS4 on God Eater. Persona 5, continued through it, absolutely loving it, still progressing that campaign, really letting me live the otaku life of a Japanese schoolboy, which is oddly satisfying. And then Kamiko for the Nintendo Switch. Have any of you guys picked that up? It was released on the eShop for $5 this week.
No, is that the Zelda-like game?
It is. It very much is reminiscent of Zelda. It's an 8-bit dungeon crawler, but it looks like Zelda. It plays like Binding of Isaac, and it's not. Oh. You'd buy into it for $5 thinking, I'm going to get a Link to the Past sort of long, sprawling RPG. It's not like that at all. It's a game for speedrunners, if anything. You can complete the game in somewhere around 90 minutes. So there's 4 characters, 4 with individual storylines and unique abilities. Each one has about 90 minutes worth of gameplay, but it's fast action, and it works great on the Switch. So if you're looking for something to pick up, which is an indie game, but something that conjures back that Zelda feel with a Binding of Isaac kind of speed of gameplay and rapidity, pick up Kamiko. You know, it's $5, so it's really not a huge time.
That sounds like fun, actually. I might pick that up for $5. Why not?
Real quick, before you get to your last mention, Gary, I know that the new Mario Kart has shipped for the Nintendo Switch. Any of you guys picked that up yet? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Gary has.
Yeah, I have.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I didn't get a chance to yet, but that's definitely on my radar this week. So,
yeah, I've actually played it twice since we bought. We only picked it up. Myself and the fiance picked it up just because we have to have all the things, and we that's pretty much it. We wanted to test out how well it would work with the whole Switch advert. You know, 2 people pick up a Switch and have a little go on the Joy-Cons, 1 Joy-Con each, playing it on split screen.
Yeah.
We played it in bed, you know, romantic. It's kind of like Mario Kart 4 play, I call it.
Yeah.
We it didn't get excited.
Under the covers at night with Gary Diaz.
We rolled over and went to sleep
Just
afterwards. I promise you, it was
underneath those sheets.
But the way it works is a split screen. It does a vertical split screen rather than a horizontal, so you get a decent amount of track each. And if you're sitting there on a tabletop or in bed or on the sofa with each other, the Joy-Cons actually work really well when you put that wrist strap adapter on top of them. Yep. I mean, I have small childlike hands, but you know, I guess your mileage may vary if you've got larger bear claws. But you know, it worked.
If you have friggin' gorilla hands, yeah, you know.
Yeah, it worked exactly as you intended it to. You know, the Nintendo commercial. I felt like I was playing it. And yeah, it was great fun.
So for you turning the controller of the Joy-Con sideways, it felt natural playing Mario Kart with your fiance.
Absolutely, there was a bit of a struggle in getting it working, like each person having the Joy-Con, because when you're navigating the menus to go onto 2 players,
you have to turn it sideways. Yeah,
you've got the Joy-Cons attached. You disconnect them, and then all of a sudden you have to reconnect as different players, and
that would be weird.
It was a bit fiddly, but we figured it out. And once you're in there, 60 frames per second maintained. It looked great. It didn't feel like the screen was too small or restrictive to play it. We played a couple of Grand Prix and a few battle modes. Probably played it for about an hour and a half, and really enjoyed it. It was really functional. So I've got to say that's definitely worth picking up if you want to live that Nintendo fantasy of playing tabletop with your friends when you're out and about.
God, that's awesome. Yeah.
And last one, I won't get into it then because I'm conscious that we've deviated on, was PlanetSide 2. Free-to-play first-person shooter. Available on the PS4. I don't know if it's available on the Xbox One live store.
Also on PC.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not on the Xbox One.
It's not.
Okay, so played that for a while. Feels like if you fused Destiny and Battlefield 1 into a large open sprawling campaign shooter, very much like that. The shooting mechanics actually felt really tight. The ship combat and the vehicular combat was really good. I think I need to give it a bit more time, but it's free. There is, I guess, bolt-on things that you can buy to increase the amount you can level and other things there, which you'd expect in a free-to-play game. But yeah, definitely one that I'm going to explore this week. So wasn't disappointed by it. But that's it for me. Thank you.
Great. It sounds like you had a great week. I may go ahead and I think I already have PlanetSide 2 installed on my PS4. I just haven't had any friends to play it with.
I've just never played it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, Robbie.
You got friends right here?
Hey, man, you guys don't play games with me. I've been begging you bitches all week to play games
You
with me.
have for weeks now, yeah. We're sorry. I know.
I want to hear that shit. So, Garrett, if you're down, I'll jump in there with you.
Dude, it's like real life, though, you know? I have all these friends I text, and then sometimes I just forget to reach out to them for months. I'm like, I'm sorry. I haven't talked to you in forever.
It's so hard to get time with Briar. Briar's like the celebrity of the group.
I was asking you guys to play on Tuesday.
Yeah, but you jumped over the games that we were already scheduled to play, man.
I didn't know about this schedule. This schedule was not scheduled with me.
What schedule was this? Yeah.
Hey, listen. Every Tuesday, Briar, myself, and Rob agreed to play an hour video game every Tuesday. Right,
and I called you guys on Tuesday. I said, let's play some Player Unknown.
I couldn't, though. So
first things first, we got to get some VR going, and then we can start figuring out what we'll do from there. But whatever you guys want to play, I'm down, man. Come on, you know how to do it.
All right, anyhow, I'm going to talk about what I have been playing, and that is Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
Nice.
Gary, you talked about it, I think 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw this game come up, I said, it's another one of these, like King of the Hill games.
Yep.
Early release. It's going to be janky as hell. Like, okay, whatever. I watched a couple of streams of it, and I decided to download it. It's about $30 on Steam. I got to tell you, I enjoy the shit out of this game. It's not going to be a game that, I devote my entire life to, but it is really fun to spend an hour just basically the setup is you join a lobby of 100 people, you get on a plane, your plane flies over a map of this huge island, and at any point you can get off of that plane, you parachute off the plane, kind of pick your spawn point, and then start rummaging through all the houses and warehouses and all the buildings on this island, trying to get the best weapons you can so that you can be the sole survivor of these 100 people. And you basically go around shooting anybody you see, avoiding anybody that's more powerful than you. And meanwhile, the playable space on this island is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and making everybody come together to this one final spot.
How is that happening?
It's like this laser wall or some shit.
It's like
you get outside of the laser wall, you start taking constant damage. So you have to stay inside that laser wall for the most part. Although there's some very good strategies about staying right on the edge of that wall.
Yeah, and there's airstrikes as well, Brian, isn't there?
That's right. There's random airstrikes and stuff like that. The crux of the game, though, is get on the ground, find guns, find armor, start shooting people, try to be the last man standing out of that 100 people. And the game feels good. The controls work. There's definitely some bugginess to it, but not much. It's definitely not as much as I've seen in games like DayZ or H1Z1. It's a very playable game. It controls well. The inventory system works like you expect it to, and it's fun to play. It takes anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes to play a game through of it. And so many times this week I've been like, just one more game. Just one more game. In fact, on I think it was Wednesday night, I did a stream. I expected the stream to be 2 to 3 hours. I think it was more like 4 hours, and the whole time I'm just like, one more game, because it's so long, addictive. Yeah. You just get to the point where maybe you die number 78, and you're like, oh, I could do better than that. Let's play another one. And then you get to top 20, and you're like, shit, I was so close. Let's do another one. It's just so addictive.
Just out of curiosity, do you remember how far you got your best game? Do you remember?
The best I've ever done is top 5. I think it was
really.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4. Maybe I even got down to 2. I've never won one. Relatively frequently, I'll get down to top 20, but you can pretty much do that just by staying hidden, right? But a lot of the time, I'll die in like the 80s. I'll jump down into a heavily populated city, and I'll just take my chance. I'll just try and find a gun as soon as possible. And it's just if you go into a city right off the bat, there's going to be at least probably 5 or 6 other people in that city with you, and they are going to be looking for blood, right? And you might go into a building and you open a door on one side of a building, you see across the other way. The back door is already open. You're like, oh shit, there's somebody in here. And you got a choice right there. Do I run or do I try and find this guy? Meanwhile, one of the great things about the game is the sound design is spot on. So that when somebody's creeping around, either they're outside a building that you're in or they're upstairs in the building that you just came in, you can hear it so well. It's very It's like how I used to feel playing older Call of Duty games where the sound was half of the input, because you can hear gunshots going off in the distance. You can pretty much tell how far away that gun battle is, and to know how safe you are based on the sound of those gunshots. You can hear them, right down the street, and you can hear them if they're happening in the building that you're in. The footsteps are amazing. Like, they really do. You can very well track 3D positionally where the enemy is based on the footsteps. So that brings a lot of joy to me, because I don't play with music. I got to turn the music all the way down, and it's very rare for me to play without music.
Yeah,
I'm loving that game.
I remember when the ability to sound whore and listen for people in Call of Duty went away. That you actually said it frustrated the hell out of you.
It frustrates me in Destiny too. It's like that's not a thing in Destiny at all. And that's one of your main sources of input for the outside world is your ears. And games that don't have that, it's missing. Games that do it well, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds does it very well. It adds to the experience in a huge way. And the gun sounds are loud, and they sound good. And you got to have that volume cranked up, because you want to be able to hear somebody creeping around outside,
So
then all of a sudden, when somebody does surprise you with gunshots, you're like, oh, shit! Because it's fucking loud.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned as well, Brian, that it being early access and it potentially being labelled as all the other early access games that are going to stay there.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know if you've seen the frequency of patches that have been hitting that game, and the fact it's now got a test server.
Yeah.
It feels to me like week on week when you play it, you feel the bugs being squashed, and you feel it moving closer towards a released product.
They've added balancing patches already. Like they've done things with the balancing. It does feel like they have care, and they are trying to get this game to be a great, and it's very popular.
I got a quick question about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. What is there a prize, or what are you just going for? Like, if you get number one, do you get
chicken
something
dinner
special?
You're the winner, chicken dinner.
You're just the winner, yeah.
There's a monetary system of some sort. It's like a reward system where the longer you survive and the more people you kill, you get awarded more points, which you can then spend on packages that have cosmetic items in them, so you can kind of customize the look of your character.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, it's heavily risk reward as well. So in addition to what Briar said around the sneaking and different strategies, there's also supply drops that happen sequentially throughout it. So there'll be a plane that comes over and drops a flare down that's got a ghillie suit and snipers and all these really, really powerful equipment and weapons. You can either play for that drop, or you can play to shoot people that come for that drop, or you can ignore it altogether, knowing that that's going to take a load of people out the map. So there's some real strategy and combat that goes into it. So, I mean, I'm put my cards on the table and say I am awful at that game. It's good fun, though.
I'm bad too.
Yeah,
I enjoy the hell out of it, though. One of the things I really want to do, because I've only played it solo at this point, and you can have teams. You can, and the great thing is too is it separates you by how big your team is. So if you're a solo player, you only play other solo players. If you're playing as two people, doubles, you only play other teams of two. And then once you go above teams of two, you get started mixing in with different size teams. But I really want to get a team going, because the communication and the teamwork that go into something like this really looks like it's a lot of fun. So I've only played solo so far. I'm definitely looking to get a team going and try that experience out as well.
So I can't wait to play it.
I remember Gary talking about this. This is only on Steam, and what's the cost for it?
$30.
I may go ahead and pick it up this week. I gotta find some way to play with you, Briar. You're so busy.
Man, all right. It is a fun game. I am not done talking though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got one more thing. It's not so much a game that I'm playing as a game that I will be playing very, very soon, and that's Destiny 2. So on May 18th, I'm going out to LA to play Destiny 2 at their reveal event. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be hard coming back, playing Destiny 2, and then coming back Destiny and playing 1. Destiny for another 5 months while I'm waiting for Destiny 2 to come out. But I'm really excited about it. We did see that there were packages sent out. There was a little bit of story revealed about Destiny 2. It looks like the ghosts are dead. We are cut off from the light. It says, welcome to a world without light. So there are going to be significant changes in this game. We already know that we're getting cut off from our vaults. We're not going to have any of our weapons or armor or equipment moving forward to Destiny 2. It looks like this will also mean that we're not going to have access to our superpowers, our space magic.
Supers.
Wow. Like supers, grenades, like all of that stuff is going to get reworked like it should for a sequel. But this seems like a very good story setup to do it.
So let me ask you a question, Briar. When you go to this event on May 18th, are you going to be allowed to talk about what you experienced, or
as far as I know, yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
And I'm guessing after you come back May 18th, we should expect another Crackhead, One More Taste of Destiny video. I remember
possibly.
Just make sure you do the hair all crazy, please.
Maybe I cut my hair too soon.
Destiny 2.
So, bro, there's something I've been thinking about since I saw that headline about a world without light. Do you think, or have you given any thought to the fact that Bungie might be doing a bit of a bait and switch with the Cabal? So the reason I say that is the Cabal have got the firepower to come in and potentially disable the Traveller, whether they destroy it or whether they just subdue it or put a force field around it to block our light from it. But the imagery seems to be far darker, far more, darkness driven. So whether it's Hive, whether it's core darkness. Do you think the Cabal are going to be the main antagonists, or do you think this is the introduction to who the main antagonists are going to be moving forward?
I've thought about that too, Gary. Like if I was going to design Destiny 2, right? Like why not design a whole story arc for the whole, for the whole game with all the DLCs? And it starts with us getting, knocked off. Destiny 1 ends with Age of Triumph, right? And we're at our highest peaks ever. We're the most powerful we've ever been. And then the Cabal come, knock us on our asses, ruin everything that we've got. That's a really good point, though. It's like, wouldn't you want to build a overarching story so it doesn't feel piecemeal all the way through Destiny 2's existence? I do think you're probably right there, Gary. It's
just for your reveal trailer, would you put the big reveal, or would you just maybe put a vehicle to start it? So is Gaul going to be, or Gary, if you want to say, is he going to be the main villain for Destiny 2? And to me, he feels like almost like a filler villain.
I think he will be the main villain for the launch, but I think we might start seeing maybe like at the end of the story that we play, we might start to see like the strings that are like kind of guiding all these dark forces. Maybe we'll start getting looks at like the bigger, whatever this darkness is, like this malevolent force, I wouldn't expect to defeat the darkness in Destiny 2 or any of its DLC, right? That's going to be in Destiny 5. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the tendrils start to make connections,
because the more I resonate on it and the more I think about it, the Cabal to me don't feel like a nemesis. They don't feel adversarial in the same way that some of the other races do. The Cabal feel like a militarized force and something that we overcome. But to me, they don't feel like the big bad.
No.
So it's just an interesting point.
A lot of the guys in our comments on Twitch are saying that you should be able to record footage. Are you going to try to do that, Brian? Are you going to take a capture card with you?
That is very much my goal, to come home with footage. Like, absolutely. Awesome. If I can't get it myself, I'll try and get it another way.
Oh yeah,
ways, that shady man in the background.
Brian got a coat.
I got some Destiny 2 footage here. He opens up his cape, Yeah.
He's looking for the man with the coat. Sounds good.
So yeah, Brian, that's what I'm playing.
Congratulations, Brian. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to going. It's the first time I've been out to a Bungie event, and I'm, not only am I looking forward to seeing Destiny 2, which is big excitement, but I'm also looking forward to meeting some of the other Destiny creators, content creators. Meeting some of the guys that do YouTube and Twitch.
DCP crew.
Yeah, that's true. My other podcast will be doing a live show from the event as well.
You're going to be a celebrity there. Are you prepared for that, Brian?
Oh,
yeah. I walk through the streets of Connecticut every day, and it's just like pushing people back. It's ridiculous.
That fame, Brian. It's like, hold on, son. I don't got time for no autographs.
It's ridiculous out here. I'm in no way am I prepared for that, Beastly. I have no idea. I have like the worst person even when somebody says nice job on something, I get like embarrassed, and I'm like, I don't even know how to react to it.
Don't be embarrassed.
So I have no idea how I'm gonna. I guess it'll be a prep for Guardian Con, because I'll be going down to Guardian Con too in July or June. So hopefully this will help me get prepared for that.
Get prepared for that. It's gonna be weird. It's coming.
It's gonna feel very weird.
Do we have any indications as well? Obviously publicly if it's been announced, but do we know how long this reveal was going to be. I know it starts at a certain given time, but have they given? Because obviously they're bringing you guys down for a show. Is it probably going to be like the Call of Duty World War II length, maybe an hour, 90 minutes?
I think normally Bungie likes to do like an hour. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little longer, just because it's it's a game and not a update or a DLC. But I mean, at the same time, you want to hold people's attention. You don't want to just drone on forever. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a trailer, a little bit of gameplay. Some details, some hype, some big wigs up on stage, and then let's get it over with, and then we get to play.
Awesome.
That's gonna be really exciting.
Wilson in chat is saying, "I'm gonna go have Briar sign my T-shirt just to make it awkward."
Wilson, fuck over you.
I'm gonna see Wilson at Guardian Con. I'm gonna give him a big hug. And I'm gonna awkwardly hold that hug for far too long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
maybe the hand drifts down a little bit too far, a little too close to the butt.
Wilson's doing it all wrong. You don't sign the T-shirt, you sign the titties. That's it. Man. I see Briar just straight across above the man nipple. He's just.
And what you also got to do, give him a handshake and pull him towards you. Make him feel real good about that.
What I'll do is I'll sign it real up high on his chest so he can't actually see what I'm doing, and just draw a big penis on there.
Real nice, Briar. Real good image for a celebrity there. Yeah.
You gotta make a name somehow.
All right, we got some news to talk about. I can't wait to talk about it because there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up here.
You want to get us started, Robbie?
All right, guys, first bit of news today. Call of Duty World War II had its official reveal this week with an announcement trailer and lots of details that came from the live stream, including a private beta that will be available first on PS4 and the return of zombies in the form of the co-op mode with its own original story. The single-player campaign will follow Private Ronald Red Daniels, a 19-year-old soldier of the U.S. 1st Infantry Division. The game will have iconic World War II events such as the Normandy landings, of course, D-Day, and many other events primarily taking place in Europe during 1944 and 1945. The game's multiplayer component will have a brand new feature never before seen in Call of Duty called Headquarters. This multiplayer space will have up to a maximum of 48 players and seems to be similar to the social space in Destiny. It is unknown at this time if multiplayer matches will host 48 players or if that's just for Headquarters.
I love how they call this brand new feature for Call of Duty Headquarters the same thing they used to call the old Call of Duty mode.
Yeah, true.
What'd you guys think of this trailer? I mean, obviously it's
CG. It wasn't.
It's CG. We didn't see any gameplay in this trailer.
Oh, that was all in-game footage.
There were shots of
in-game footage of cutscenes.
Right, but it will be kind of representation of what the final game looks like, just visually and all that. And I mean, personally, I loved the trailer. Personally, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, it was really good, and just seeing a Call of Duty modern set in World War II, I really can't wait for this. This is what
did what a trailer's supposed to do, right? It got us hyped up for the next Call of Duty. I mean, it functioned. It performed its function very well. It did a hell of a lot better than Infinite Warfare's trailer did.
Oh my god, people are very positive on this game compared to that game. Yeah, it's completely different.
Well, it seemed so gritty, and it made me feel like I was watching a Saving Private Ryan type of scenario. And it seemed like they're putting a lot into this story as well. And of course, it was representative of the actual in-game footage, so the character models look great. I'm super excited to see what the actual gameplay looks like. But just on the reveal trailer, it got me damn excited. And I went to YouTube and I looked at the thumbs up and thumbs down in the comments, and it was a polar opposite from what we've seen in Infinite Warfare. I mean, Infinite Warfare got creamed in the comments and in the dislike bar, and it was 80%, 85% thumbs up for this. So it seems like it's a pretty well understood consensus that people are excited for Call of Duty going back to its roots, and it looks good.
There was some stuff that we could pull from that trailer, though, that did get me excited for playing the game, and that was that gritty, more realistic look of it, and also the fact that there was some gore in that trailer.
Yeah, it's hardcore. It's very
lots
dark.
Of blood too. Yeah, limbs kind of getting shut off, and
Call of Duty has felt kind of sanitized for a while, right? Mm-hmm. It used to be a pretty graphic game. It used to be like if you go back to World at War, you used to be able to blow people's limbs off.
Yeah, it looks like they're going back.
That's how that time period was, though, too. So, I mean, this makes sense for it.
Pretty sure that's how this time period is, too.
Yeah. Now, I mean, something else that we noticed as well was that if you look at other Call of Duty reveals, especially Infinite Warfare, they had the Bowie, you know, Space Odyssey and things like that. You know, big budget Hollywood, you know, AAA studio produced music. I've listened to it a few times, and it sounded like original score. It didn't sound like anything that was a recognized artist. And I think, like you say, it's stripping it back, and it's not saying more is more. It's like less is more. It's a more human story. And for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to play a Call of Duty campaign, which is something that I haven't been for a long time.
Same here. It seems very gritty, and it pulled me in just watching that trailer. And I think that it's gotten everybody like that, really. Briar, I know you don't really go for the campaigns, but after watching this reveal trailer, do you think that the campaign of World War II is worth visiting?
My problem with the campaigns of Call of Duty, and I've said this before, so I'll keep it very brief, is not the stories or the characters. It's always that the constant progression of get to a checkpoint, kill a bunch of enemies,
waves.
Move 10 feet forward, waves of enemies, 10 feet forward.
It gets tiring.
It's been tiring for many years, and they have not evolved it. So if they evolve it here, I would be very happy to play a campaign. But if they don't, I will get sick of that very, very quick.
Got you. They also showed a quick snippet of what we can kind of expect from the multiplayer as well. And it kind of shocked me because it showed characters on top of like a cliff looking down on about 40 other characters.
If we get like Battlefield level,
that's what it's going to be.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I counted as much as I could, as best as I could. You guys know I made it to third grade, but I counted to 40 or 41 characters. So I'm thinking it's going to be quite a bit. It's going to be a huge number of players.
There was a couple of details given around different game modes, and I think they mentioned like a domination style mode or a conquest style mode.
Yeah, war is coming back in a different way, which sounded to me very similar to Battlefield 1's their conquest sort of thing, how it was like the Allies and the Axis, and you had to push. It's sort of like a tug-of-war type thing with multiple rounds, which I loved. I thought that was brilliant. And if they did that here too, that would be super, super cool, especially for World War II. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they haven't converted me back to COD player yet. Not by a long shot.
But we're interested.
I want to see more of, the single player. I want to see how it actually plays, because they can make those things look fantastic in those like slow walk demos that they do on the E3 stage, Yeah. I want to see this in somebody's hand to see if this is that same old checkpoint system that I'm so sick of. I also really looking forward to seeing the multiplayer reveal, which we usually don't see till later in summer, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bump that up a little bit. And we're getting a demo. We're getting a beta of that game, so you'll be able to play it before it's released.
I mean, for me, the acid test of a Call of Duty game is if you took Call of Duty off the title and just showed me the trailer, would I care about the game? And to be honest, a lot of the space shooters, I wouldn't. They just look like generic space shooters. For this one, I haven't had a good World War II shooter in forever. So if you just called this World War II,
I can't believe we're having that conversation, Gary. Like there was a point not that long ago where it was like there was 5 World War II games released every year, right? And they all felt identical. It's amazing that we've come like full circle on this.
360. Wink, wink. All right, continuing on with our news for today. Resident Evil 7's free DLC, Not a Hero, has been delayed from spring to sometime later in 2017.
God, it's like we can't get any good games to come out in 2017. Like all I'm waiting for is just one fucking game DLC, to actually ship in 2017. It's been the worst year for video games ever.
Speaking of the worst year in video games ever, Nintendo has announced that the Switch has sold.
Sorry, before we go on to that one there, I just want to quickly circle back to Resident Evil 7. Briar, I remember in January, was it January this came out?
Yep.
You picked it up and you said, for me, right now, Game of the Year. How's it standing in the rankings now, Resident Evil 7?
Great question, Gary. He's thinking about it.
Oh, this might take a while.
The only competition it has in my eyes is Zelda.
You don't think Horizon is up there with Resident Evil 7? No?
I don't think it's up there. No, I don't. I think it's a beautiful game, but it feels like a graphically better version of an older game.
Okay,
fair enough.
Talking about The Witcher, huh?
Witcher came out in like 2015.
Yeah, but you said a graphically better version of an older game.
No, I don't think Horizon's as good as The Witcher.
Okay. All right, so am I free to go on now, Gary?
You are very free to. No, Brian just.
Oh, so that was partially a joke, Gary, because it was January, and I was saying Game of the Year. The best game I played all year is the first game I
That's
played
what
all
you
year.
said. I remember that. Your best
You
game
make
I
a
played all
statement.
year, and it's January.
I'm going to hold you to it in December, Brian. I'm coming back to that. Destiny 2. What's Destiny 2? Resident Evil 7. You're all about it.
Best game ever.
Done.
Yeah.
Nintendo has announced that the Switch has sold 2,740,000 units in its first month on sale. Wow.
How many?
Doing well.
Say that one number again.
Almost 3 million. 2,740,000.
Wow. That's good.
First month.
It
That's an
shocked me.
incredible
I got to tell you, I didn't think the Switch would do this well, just because you have Zelda, and that's it. I just didn't see it. But,
Yeah, but
this
it's Zelda.
is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple.
It
there's a
is
couple
Zelda,
There's a couple of nuances to that as well, which aren't
but it's
captured in the
also
headline.
on the Wii U.
The Nintendo's actual predictions were 2 million in the first month, and
2
people
million,
thought they
yeah.
were being wildly overestimative. They thought they're never going to do 2, never going to do 2 with no games. So they've exceeded the expectation by almost 50%. And then what's also interesting is that Zelda Switch, forgetting Zelda Wii U, has actually sold over 3 million units. So they've sold more copies of Zelda than they have Switch units.
What the hell's happening? How is it?
I mean,
I bought 2 copies because it was so fucking good the first time. I couldn't wait to play it again.
I mean, people have said that there's multiple copies. So with the collector's editions that come out, some people have bought the collector's edition to keep sealed, and then maybe played another version.
And maybe
That's
some
nuts.
people just buy a copy of Zelda just to lick it. Just an extra.
Well, the fact that
Yeah.
the Switch has been
just
selling so
tastes so
heavily, people have said that they've bought the Zelda game but been unable to locate a copy of or a piece of hardware.
Switch.
So they
Yeah.
haven't got us. They've bought the game because they had it pre-ordered, but they haven't got the Switch yet. They're waiting
I've
for
heard
restocks.
Well,
Yeah.
Best Buys and Toys R Us has just got completely new Nintendo Switch units in. So you probably got a couple of days if you guys want to switch.
Hey.
Contact Toys R Us and Best Buy and get them now while
Did
you
you
can.
go to Best Buy last week and get a NES Classic?
I just did my video on it. I wasn't going to go. I sent my wife, and she was, she's likes to sleep until 10 every day, but she got up early. She went to Best Buy. When she got there, I was really excited. I was at work Monday. She was on her way there. They opened at 10. She got there. She said, "There's 5 people in front of me." I was like, "Oh, right. Yes, I'm going to fucking have it." She called me about 15 minutes later. She said the guy came outside and said they only had 2.
Ah,
Oh, no.
all that hoopla, all the news online, all that crap, I'm super excited. She's up there and she says, "Well, do you think GameStop has them?" I was like, "Probably not." She went and stopped at a couple of GameStops. Nobody had it, but they had 2 at Best Buy in Morrow, Georgia. And that really sucks that they made such a big, a lot of noise about getting more in stock, and they're only shipping out 2 units. That was really crappy,
yeah,
man.
that sucks, huh?
Yeah.
I went to Best Buy, but I was like your wife. I showed up like right at 10 o'clock, and same deal. There was a line. They were all.
How many did they have?
I didn't ask. I didn't count. But the people, it must have been 5 because there's like 5 people standing there buying them. But
By the
yeah,
time
it's
you
like
got there,
they had gotten up at 7 a.m. and been standing in line since 7 a.m. To
Jeez.
get those. So I
That's
was like,
crazy.
well, I gotta either up my game or forget this.
Yeah,
I don't think
no
I'm
kidding.
standing in line for 4 hours waiting for
That's crazy, man.
waiting for
Nintendo,
a Nintendo NES Classic.
they literally have a way to print money with those things, man. People really, really want them. It's
Yeah.
crazy that they
Well,
stopped
they're
so
moving
soon.
on.
They should have just
moving on
kept
to the
producing
Super NES.
Well, Nintendo isn't known for always making great decisions, confusing literally everyone. Nintendo has announced a new 2DS XL this week, having the same power as the new 3DS line of systems. The system will cost $150 and will be out on July 28th.
This is that clamshell
Why?
case, though. It's not like the old 2DS where it was like that
Oh, so really it is.
that
Okay.
triangle looking thing,
It
right?
looks
Yeah,
nice.
it's just like
Yeah,
a
it
tablet.
does
with
actually
half
look
of the-
good.
So
Okay,
to
good.
me, this is genius by Nintendo. I actually take the complete opposite
What?
view. So my view is that you are phasing out. You're looking at a product that's being demised in the 3DS. They're obviously saying they're going to support it, and it's a product that will have a lineage moving forward in the same way that the Vita does. But the 3DS screens are expensive to produce. They're expensive to buy into the hardware to get new adopters to come into it. The 3DS 3D feature was one of the least used features by any consumers, and something that no one wanted. It's more to break, more to produce, more to cost, and more to buy into in the first place. $150 buy-in for something that has the clamshell design, so it protects. It has the processing power of the new 3DS.
Great
and
deal.
It's a fantastic deal. It looks stunning. It plays stunning. It's got all the features that you want, and the 3DS was an underused thing. So for me, if you've got the definitive version of the 3DS family, why not have this? I mean, I want to buy one anyway, and I've got hundreds of DS products, you know.
Well, so. I got to agree with you there, Gary. It's really interesting that Nintendo's going this direction. But one thing is very telling is they've completely walked away from 3D in general. If you look at the Nintendo Switch, it's adopted so many aspects of previous Nintendo products: the rumble, the motion controls, the screen, like the Nintendo Wii U. They've like pulled from different generations of Nintendo products, completely foregoing the 3D aspect, which made the 3DS so popular. So
3D was a gimmick, right? I mean, it's gone from everything. You don't buy TVs with 3D in them anymore. You don't buy 3DSs. You buy the 2DS. I agree with you. Gary. It seems, it's like putting out a PS3 Lite, at the end of the life cycle for a PS3 or a PS2 or whatever. It's like, some people are still going to want to buy these at a discounted price. Some people are going to have them break and still want to play their old PS3 games. Same with DS. Like, I bet there's more breakage on DSs than there are in most consoles, just because not because of the build quality, but because of the portability and the age range of the targeted user base.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of these games don't even have 3D capabilities. If you played Pokemon Sun and Moon, you couldn't get 3D. It didn't work. You could put the 3D slider on, the game's not going 3D. So it was a dead functionality that Nintendo were having to pay to put into their hardware. So
it makes all the sense in the world to me.
It's just weird timing. I don't know. Like, why wouldn't you just get a Switch? Like, just save your money. I don't know. It's just and the naming is weird. Like, they name these things pretty terribly. So you're just going to confuse the hell out of people.
If I didn't have a 3DS, I'd be happy to get a 2DS. There's so many games.
$150 too? Please. Yeah, that's a great deal.
You don't compromise on screen size. It's got the same 4.8-inch screen with the same resolution and the same processing power, and that's the most important thing. The old 2DS tablet, you had a tiny little screen. You had the weaker capability. You lost features. With this, you're gaining features, and you're getting it at a reduced price.
So. All right. So Bethesda Games has teased at least 2 big game announcements to happen at E3 2017, with an official image showing franchises that will appear in some way, along with unannounced projects that are, quote, under construction, end quote.
Have you guys seen the image?
No.
So basically what it is, Bethesda, they put out this image of all their franchises that are going to appear at E3 in some way. There's Fallout, there's Skyrim, there's Doom and stuff like that. There's Prey, like all the ones we kind of expect. And then there's 2 other ones that they won't reveal. Like, they're teasing there's going to be a couple new announcements. There's one site that's under construction, and then there's another one that says coming soon. So clearly there's going to be at least 2 games announced. People are saying either this is, the new Wolfenstein and the new Colossus, which seems like it's going to happen, Evil Within 2, or it's even possibly a new IP. It could be something like that. So
Bethesda's doing their own conference again this year?
Yes.
Is there any hope among the community that it's a Skyrim?
No, because they've already got Skyrim listed. So they've got Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim.
There's no hope that it's another Elder Scrolls? I've said Skyrim. What I meant was like a new Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, I highly doubt it.
It's a new IP, so Elder Scrolls in itself is an IP, the franchise.
Okay.
So these are new franchises.
They specified this is new franchises?
Two, yeah, and that's what's interesting.
Well, no, we don't actually know that. That's what people are speculating, though. That was not confirmed. These are just 2 unknown games. Did Bethesda say their IPs? I don't think they said they are new IPs. Am I wrong about that?
They said they're working on 3 games, 2 of which are bigger than anything we've worked before and will be new IPs.
That's Bethesda Game Studios, not the publisher. That's where you're confused. Okay. Yeah, different story. But Bethesda also has this project supposedly called Starfield, which is a space RPG, which sounds really cool. That could be announced too, because that's from a separate team.
Space RPG, you say?
Yeah. From Bethesda Game Studios. So they have, fantasy RPG, post-apocalyptic RPG with Fallout, and now a space RPG potentially.
I like the sound of that.
Sounds like something you might know.
That's one that people are saying, along with Evil Within and stuff, that could be likely announced.
A quick question. Do you guys think that Bethesda is going to show off the Nintendo Switch Skyrim game at E3?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why Skyrim's there in their promo, definitely.
Yeah,
for the Switch.
That makes sense.
I'm interested in that game. That's one game that I definitely want on my Switch.
Are you guys interested in...
Ghost of ET's like shouting Quake in the chat, and that's definitely going to be there, right? Quake
Champions. Yeah, that'll be there.
Are you guys interested? Because in itself, it wasn't a good game. But Fallout VR, Fallout 4 VR, is being touted as a game changer for VR. Do you think that the experience, because Fallout 4 was a relatively vanilla and bland game, but do you think that the experience of being in a desolate post-apocalyptic wasteland will be significantly enhanced to play it in VR?
Yes.
Hell
yes.
yeah.
Give me Fallout 4
Hell
VR,
yes.
please, right now.
Hell yeah.
Briar,
man,
oh my
that
gosh.
would be insane.
So,
I so want this game to come out. Like, I mean, it's
really?
yeah. Oh my god, I love Fallout, and Fallout 4 was I thought was exactly what I thought I wanted, which I was wrong about. It was just more Fallout 3. But being able to play that, be in that world in
that
3D,
world,
like VR, oh my god, that sounds awesome.
I mean, Gary, think of it this way. When you play Resident Evil 7 on just a regular monitor versus being in the actual game with VR, it's a completely different experience. Who would choose just playing on a monitor when you can actually be in that world? And Fallout is a world that just keeps on giving, man. If they can make it an actual full-fledged experience, a real game, versus like Batman VR or some crap that only lasts for 3 hours, if it's a real game with real meaningful environments, characters, and items you can find and craft and, do what you do in Fallout, I'm down, man. Especially if you can use your controller and move around the same way you do in regular Fallout games. I don't think anybody would protest that.
For me, it's you mentioned Resident Evil there, and the reason that I asked the Fallout question is I didn't really enjoy Resident Evil 7 on a controller. I didn't enjoy it in VR either. Like, if I don't enjoy the game, will I enjoy it in VR just because it's in VR?
Well, man, you just lost some cool points, brother.
So for me, Gary, the difference is that I do fundamentally enjoy Fallout. Right? It was just that Fallout 4 just felt like more Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. It didn't feel like it had changed enough. But
Agreed.
if all of a sudden I could step into that world, that's enough of a change, I think, to get me to really, god damn, like, just the way you explore. I hope it's not like teleport and like, you know, point and teleport. I hope it's just you walk around and you can be in the world of Fallout, because that's not something we've seen in any VR game so far. That'd be next level.
I mean, it's got the VATS targeting system, so I guess it lends itself quite well to VR because it doesn't need precision aim either. So I can see your point. It just asked the question because I know that you guys gave Fallout 4 a rough time when it first came out. So
yeah, I certainly did.
Well, these assholes did. I really liked the game, and I still do. Not as much as Fallout 3, I will say. I didn't love it as much as 3 in New Vegas. It was still great, though. I thought it was.
Oh, Robbie, speaking up. I like
Anyways,
that.
moving on, you dicks.
Too far, Robbie. Too far.
Dude, too far. All right, our last bit of news for episode 153 Beastly Thoughts Live. Digital game sales have now overtaken physical copies by a large margin. In 2016, digital sales were an average 74% of all games sold, while June, just 26% were physical copies. So
did you hear that?
Yeah.
That was the sound of the GameStop CPO puking on his shoes.
No, Briar,
Him crying,
what
too.
you've been
He's
saying,
crying.
Briar. You've been saying this for years. You know?
now this is actually interesting. There's a couple of nuances to this story as well, which before we get into the discussion, I wanted to clarify. It's been stated year on year that gaming is dying and that less games are being sold and that games aren't going anywhere.
That's silly.
The reason that was being said is that digital games weren't being factored into the counting. So they've now reintroduced digital sales, at least in North America, and it's actually shown that year on year gaming sales have actually been increasing by 5% on average.
Wow.
And that digital sales are there. What also makes this stat interesting, the 74% digital sales doesn't factor in two of the largest digital games distributors, that being PlayStation Network and Xbox Live, because they decided this isn't compulsory to release your sales figures and they didn't want to introduce them. So if you factor 74% of games are digitally sold, not including PSN or Xbox Live, the real figure's probably going to be
much
far
higher.
more skewed. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I buy every single game digitally now. I very rarely buy physical copies. I just like digital. I like it being in that library and being accessible. It's convenient.
I buy digital 99% of my PS4 games because I have 3 of my own PS4s. So I get to game share. I can play in the living room. My wife can play on her PS4. So to me, it makes perfect sense. But over the last 2 years, I used to just collect games. You guys know me.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. It's like my collection has kind of grown stagnant. It's been sitting still looking the same for like the last 18 months because for the most part, I don't buy physical copies anymore.
For me, that's part of the benefit, is that I don't have to have this shit clogging up my house. I don't have to have shelves full of fucking cases that
You're right.
You know, like,
you're so right.
All that room in my house is now usable space as opposed to just taking up spaces of boxes and, you know, games that I don't care about. I will say the one thing I still don't feel like the value proposition's there. It's pretty good over on Steam, but like if you buy a game retail over at GameStop, even though you know, once you have a retail copy, you can resell that game and get a little bit of money back, where that's not really going to happen for you on PSN
Digital.
or Xbox.
Yeah.
You know?
True. Yeah.
So that's actually partly to do with GameStop, as you say, Briar. So digital distribution, the developers and the publishers could supply the games far, far cheaper, but they anchor them to store retail prices so as not to immediately put GameStop out of business, because they need them as a retail presence and something to advertise and market their games. So like you say, the retail proposition isn't there, but that's because there is still, I guess, a distribution network they have to align to, whether or not the costs make sense. So
Well,
that's that. I mean, for me, I'm on the other side of that.
I think that this whole argument can be summed up by Mikasta 21. He said it's easier to sit at home in your underwear and wait till midnight to unlock a game instead of going out for midnight releases. I think that's when it all starts.
Yeah, but it's fun to go to those midnight releases. I still go. I'm
completely the other side of you guys on this argument. You guys seem to have gone digital. Yeah. I'm still a collector. You know, from you've seen what I buy and things I have.
You're crazy. You bought like 3 Vitas. That's like half of all have been sold over a lifetime.
Robbie, Thug White, goddamn.
4 Vitas now. I'm propping it up.
Real on this episode.
You'll see this month there'll be 4 Vitas sold, which will be there. No, for me, I really don't like the idea of purchasing something digitally, because I feel like I'm not actually buying it. I'm being given an indefinite license to it, which can be revoked at any time. I don't have something that is mine, that I can take and I can look at and I can cherish and hold. I get a lot of satisfaction from seeing that shit, as you call it, Briar, on the shelf. You know, that to me is satisfaction. My dollars are well spent in buying that. So, I mean, do you guys not feel that your digital collection has less residual? I guess you see what BC's showing there, less residual value to you.
For
you know,
me,
you
Gary,
can't.
It's got more residual value because I'm more likely to play it if it's already on the console. If I just scroll through and say, "Oh shit, I haven't played Journey in like a year," let me check that game out again. Or on the PS Vita, where I just pick up the console and I had, you know, a bunch of games that are just preloaded on the console that I could start playing, as opposed to getting the console then trying to figure out where the hell I've stashed those games that are 4 years old now.
Well, this is the only issue I have at this point with digital downloads. At some point in time, all these networks are going to disappear. All these servers are going to disappear.
Yeah.
And what do you do at that point? It's like now I can still play my Super Nintendo games, my Dreamcast games, my PlayStation 2 stuff, my PS3 stuff. I got tons of it. At some point in time, these servers are going to go away, and they're just going to move away from what's considered very old games. And what do you do at that point?
As we move on with the current architecture that the PlayStation and Xbox and certainly the PC are kind of doing, though, it's like these games are just never going to, theoretically, it could be that these games are just never out of date, right? You can play all your Xbox One games on an Xbox Scorpio, and you can play all your Xbox Scorpio games on the Xbox Scorpio 2, and all your so hopefully, if they just keep building on this current architecture instead of just fucking with the architecture every time they release a new console, you know, this problem may be gone, right? Nintendo's still fucking it up, as far as I'm concerned. You know, the fact that I can't play the virtual console games I bought on the Wii, on the Wii U, and then again on the Switch, go fuck yourself, Nintendo. I'm not buying any of those virtual console games because
no voice chat even on the console.
You're just trying to screw me over. That's not at all what we're talking about, Robbie. We're talking about video games.
So that's just them being behind. That's why I brought that up. I know.
Savage,
what we're talking about here is, you know, the losing the right to play a video game that you purchased, and that's a real concern for digital purchases.
I think that's a concern even more for game streaming services like PlayStation Now. I know people have talked about that you're literally streaming a game. You don't own it even digitally. You're just streaming it. You rent it.
Why do you need to own it digitally? Why do you need to own it, really?
I know there's just people out there that feel that way, so I just
like even the games that Gary has on his shelf. He doesn't actually own those games. He owns a digital copy of them and a user license to play it.
Well, I mean, I own a physical,
you own a physical copy of it, yeah. But you have as far as the video game publishers are concerned, you have bought a license to play that game. Whether you own a physical copy or a digital copy, they don't see it any differently.
Well, it's still your property. It's like,
the disc is your property. The game is not.
I get what you're saying, Briar. Yeah, I see.
But the game is the disc, though. So
I mean, I don't know if it's a psychological thing for me, specific to games, because I've got no issues with going digital on my other media. So music, I wouldn't think about having a CD collection. I'm quite happy to have it all on Spotify.
TV,
and not really own it.
Agreed.
Netflix, Amazon, no problems there. Take all my DVDs and Blu-rays away. Happy to do it. They're
Throw
just
that shit out, man.
But games, I have it might be a personal thing for me that I feel that I need to have the instruction manual, the box, the thing. I don't know, maybe I'm just old-fashioned in my collector's thing, but I've always grown up with them, and I still have boxes for games that I had from like 2002, 1998. I've still got them because to me they're important.
It's a special feeling.
If it brings you joy too, there's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to do it. If you're out there buying vinyl records and that brings you joy, do it. That's fine. I'm not advocating that you should not buy the shit on the shelves. That was poorly worded and insensitive of me to word it that way, because if you enjoy going out and collecting these things and like having a complete NES collection or a complete Vita collection, that's fucking awesome. And actually the world's a better place because there are people who actually put these collections together in one spot so that there are these collections, right? But for me, it's just shit on a wall. Like, it's just shit taking up space.
Shit on the wall.
And
it's special,
I'm very happy. The digital future to me, I am the guy who threw away boxes of VHS tapes,
me too.
Boxes of CDs, boxes of DVDs. Like, I've gone through these progressions. And it hurts every time you do it because you think to yourself, you know how many fucking thousands of dollars I just threw away? Whereas if I had bought, now if I buy a movie on iTunes, assuming iTunes doesn't disappear, I could go back and watch that on a 4K TV or on an 8K TV. It doesn't matter. The format isn't going to change, right?
But Briar, it does feel kind of special, right? To have games like this.
It feels special
copies.
To you.
Yeah, it does. To actually have the manual and have the disc, or and games are like considered collector's items, like KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. These are special, meaningful things. Of course, you can play the digital re-releases or backwards compatible versions, but having this and holding this in your hand, it feels kind of special. The original Odin Spear. Just to say that you have it, I've had.
While you were away, Beastly, I kind of explained that. Yeah, if that's what makes you happy, that's great, man. Like, do it. I'm not saying don't do it.
Gotcha.
I'm just saying, in my life, I'm very happy with the digital future.
I just my concern and the thought that I wanted to kind of close that conversation on and my thoughts on is the trend is alarming that it's spiking digitally at such a rate. And as soon as you give away your rights as a consumer to have control over your purchases, my worry is that, like you say, Brian, if you've got everything digital, what say if PlayStation Plus now says next month next year it's going to be $200 now if you want access to your stuff? I mean, what do you do at that point then?
You don't give them $200 for one thing. You let PlayStation die as a brand because there is competition. And this is why we always do want competition in these spaces.
Yeah, but that's why
when somebody starts saying you're a dumbass for buying an Xbox because PlayStation is clearly better, I say console wars do not serve anybody any good.
That's just so immature and stupid. Don't even get into console wars. I honestly think that shit's childish.
Because that is the kind of future you could expect. Is if one console company all of a sudden had the entire space to themselves, there's no reason they wouldn't start fucking us over on the regular.
Yeah. You're totally right. You are absolutely right about that. Without competition, things would be a lot different than they are.
Well,
totally.
Look, companies like Sony just released their financial report for fiscal year 2016. They were only getting money or receiving positive revenue from their PlayStation brand. Everything else last year completely flopped and failed for Sony. Now, if Sony were to go through bankruptcy or go through some form of litigation where they lost their rights to the PlayStation or things got really bad, every digital game you have would disappear. It would all disappear. Netflix
that's not necessarily true, Beastly.
No, I think they'd sell the rights to probably another company. Maybe they'd acquire that service. I think they would probably just sell those assets off, was what would happen.
Well, as a consumer, no matter what, you're going to be in some form of trouble because they're only going to sell those assets to a company who wants to make money. And what's the point of making money on something that you already bought? So it's bad for the consumer regardless.
This is the fear with the digital future on movies, on music, on everything, right? Hopefully, like if we ever got to a point where we have a Spotify type of service for video games, I would sign up for that immediately. Like that
would be
that
sick.
To me is so sick. Like just pay a monthly fee and have access to any game you wanted, as opposed to purchasing individual games.
Oh, dude, hell yes.
Phil Spencer just did an interview last week. I forget exactly who he was talking to, but he made a statement. I'm paraphrasing, but he said that he wants the Xbox to become the Netflix of gaming. And if that is the case, that's a great direction to go. As long as we don't have to worry about networks and servers going down, it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing with Xbox Game Pass as well. That seems like a step towards
their model is much cooler than Sony's too, because you actually download the game and play it locally.
Yeah,
but you're not dealing with the lag that you
are for backwards compatibility. Yeah, that's totally local.
Yeah.
Because you can just put the disc in and you're basically playing it. It's just emulated. So,
Robbie, you're fucking up the silence.
Okay, I can't.
There are no easy solutions to these problems, right? This is we are living in a world that is we're going through uncharted territory here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely an interesting time to be alive, and the best time ever to be a gamer, if you ask me. This is unbelievable.
For sure.
2017 has been one of the greatest years in gaming so far for me. It's been awesome. My Switch, all these great games have been released, and we're not even halfway done with the year. I think this is going to... It's going to be nuts.
Oh, God.
It's going to be crazy.
Especially these E3. This is a pretty important one for especially Microsoft and I think Nintendo in particular.
I can't wait till Sony announces the PS5 and we do our show after that.
Oh my God! I
look Briar right in his eye and say, man. "What did I say?"
All right. So what's the bet? You're saying that PS5 is getting announced this year?
Yes.
Okay. What's the bet? What are we doing here?
What do you want to bet?
I don't know.
How many of my kids do you want?
The so boys like, if you win, I take your kids. Is that what you're saying? And if I win, you take mine.
If I win, you take my kids. If I lose, you can have my kids.
Man, that's risky business. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to lose your kids over a video game.
All right, how about this?
Realize
if it's announced at E3 this year, I'll shave my head.
Okay.
But if it's not, you have to grow your hair out.
For how long?
Until it is announced.
That's horrible.
I love this. Yes, let's do this.
What I'm hearing is no confidence from Beastly right now. No. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing Beastly back away.
Beastly's like, oh shit, I might not be so right anymore.
Pre-show, Briar was just talking about cutting his hair real short too. So fuck you, Briar. Okay. You win no matter what, goddammit.
Can I get in on this too? Will I have to shave my head? Gary?
You got to grow a beard, Robbie.
Oh God, that's tough. I'll try though.
I don't know if it'll be an E3. I don't know if it'll be an E3 announcement, Briar, but I got a strong feeling that it'll be this year before the Scorpio.
Maybe they will do like what Microsoft did last year, though. I can see that in a way.
There's an analyst. There's an analyst that just came out. The same guy who said that they were making a slim PS4 and the PS4 Pro before they either were announced. He said that PS5 will be revealed and I think released before holiday 2018.
I saw that.
It'll be revealed before 2018.
No, released before holiday 2018.
Wow. Yeah, in the second half of the year.
Yeah. So
I'll be honest with you. I'd be incredibly happy if you're right, Beastly. Like
me
this
too,
would. I'd be. Are you kidding me? Another PlayStation? Hell yeah. But I don't think our opinions would be shared by everybody.
They won't.
Hell no.
They won't. You know, I talk to people about this in the comments of my videos a lot. They say, Beastly, it's too soon. But if you think about it, right, 2018 is 5 years after the PS4 was released. We all complain and bitch and moan about
but they went and released the PS4 Pro in between.
Yeah, so is that too soon, or is that just, this is optional for people?
You can't conflate the two of those. because the PS4 Pro is still just a PS4 that looks a little bit better.
I'm conflating over here. I'm conflating here.
God
right
damn
over
it,
there.
man.
Conflation right up in the camera.
All up in my face. Look, the PS4 Pro is still just a PS4. It just plays games a little bit better than the PS4. There's no exclusivity to it.
PS4 Pro.
You know,
and it's an optional thing too. I think is the other part of it. So maybe it won't even count.
A 5-year life cycle. They count the PS4 Pro sales with the PS4. So it's still the same thing. When they do NPD numbers, they don't separate the two and say PS4 Pro sold this many in PS4. It's all counted as one. I think Sony looks
will the PS5 be like backward compatible with PS4?
Yes, from what I hear, from these articles that I've read, it's going to be completely backwards compatible with the PS4 and supposedly 10 teraflops. So
many lot of flops, man.
Man, there's be flopping shit everywhere.
Dude, there's too many flops. I can't hold these flops in.
So, I mean, and imagine that, right? The Xbox Scorpio, this is something that I just talked about in one of my videos that nobody has really said anything about. Everybody's saying the Scorpio won't have exclusive games. It'll only be Xbox One games, and that's what we've all heard, right? That it'll all be just Xbox One games playing at a higher resolution on the Scorpio. But the fact that the Scorpio is VR compatible and there are no VR games on the Xbox One lets you know that they are planning some form of exclusivity for the Xbox Scorpio. Why would they add that functionality if the Xbox One doesn't have a VR setup? Xbox One, as it stands right now, doesn't have VR games.
So why would the Scorpio there will be, in fact,
there will be exclusivity.
Scorpio
it has to be
exclusives.
It has to be. Why would they have VR if Xbox One has no VR games?
Maybe they just run at a lower resolution on the Xbox One.
I don't even know. Well, the Xbox One, I don't know if it would even be capable of that. They'd have to add so much stuff. It doesn't have the power of the PS4.
Yeah,
anything's possible. So. All you got to do is lower the resolution. Call it back.
But
you're playing Pong in VR. It's fucking magical Pong, but it's Pong.
What do you think is more reasonable idea? Do you think that they would actually go back and do that and pretty much shit all over the Xbox One owners, or have exclusive titles for the Xbox Scorpio that run in VR?
I'll say I think there will be exclusives for Scorpio, but that will be 2 to 3 years in. That won't be immediately. I think that'll be a couple of years in. So I think that's what will happen. You'll see compatible with both, and then they'll slowly phase out the Xbox One, and it'll be just Scorpio.
Is there enough USB ports on an Xbox One to support Oculus Rift, Gary?
There's 3.
Absolutely not. No, nope. There's only one controller. It can't do it. So I think we won't see exclusives for the Scorpio. We may see exclusives for the Xbox VR, which are playable on the Scorpio. Possibly that way. There may be a way around it with some sort of clause or get a gel-free card with it. But I don't see the Oculus in its current state going to anywhere except the PC. It's not fit for purpose for a console.
So what do you think Xbox will get its own VR headset?
I think it'll get Oculus CV2, is it? Consumer version 2, maybe? Because we're on CV1 at the moment. So whatever CV2 looks like.
That, or maybe Oculus and them will work together, and maybe they'll make a VR headset specifically for Xbox One. I could see them partnering up for that.
They're already partnered. Don't you get Xbox? Don't you get an Xbox controller with it?
Yes, that's why I'm saying.
But Microsoft does not say. They say very far away. Like, people have asked specifically, is the Xbox Scorpio going to be compatible with the, or is the Rift going to be compatible with the Scorpio? And they are not saying.
Yeah.
Well, no matter how you look at it, if they put VR on the Scorpio, those are going to be Scorpio exclusives because they're not going to play on the Xbox One. So it's going to get some form of exclusivity.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm sure we'll find out.
That's strong speculation. I wouldn't say it's 100%.
Yeah, well, I can sleep with that.
Who knows? It's an exciting time, though. I mean, I'm very excited. A show with you handsome guys, I'm always excited.
Yeah, thanks, Robbie. Right? Ditto.
Right? This is a strong show, guys. I like this show. I like it when we start arguing about shit, too. It's just fun. Not arguing.
I don't like
discussing.
Arguing with you.
Strongly discussing. That's because I'm always right, Beasley. I know it's a hard thing to do.
I'm arguing with you right now about arguing. I don't like arguing with you, man.
2 points to close the show. We are now an official podcast. We are on Podbean and we're on iTunes. We'll keep plugging it until you guys start listening. So there you go.
Listen, damn it.
Listen, damn it.
Maybe we should play it at the beginning of the show because nobody's fucking listening anymore.
I think it's also worth the disclaimer, which we should add at the end of all shows because we now are officially on iTunes. The Beastly Thoughts Show does not condone the sale of children in any way, shape or form, whether it financially or non-financially. All thoughts are expressed are the guests and their own.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think we might want to review that as a podcast and come to a consensus.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, Briar.
I gotta get these little shitheads out of my house.
It costs a lot of money to feed these fuckers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. All these video games, I can save up some of these ramen noodles for myself. Shit.
Who needs to feed your own kids? Yeah, no, just no more ramen for you, all right?
I'm not saying they're not going to get fed. Just somebody else might be doing the feeding.
Right. we always got cat food. I can hear it now. Daddy, what's for dinner? You want dry or wet?
Oh no!
It's Saturday. That means we got the wet. We got the canned food.
What is that? Tuna?
God,
No, it's
canned cat food is the worst. Oh.
Digitally recorded child abuse. This is going to be used in a court case against you one day, Beastly.
Yeah, this is we're on really fine ground here. Oh
and
my God.
the divorce lawyer is going to love this podcast.
He's gonna be having a field day with this.
I'm gonna be in court. I'm
Yes.
gonna say, if the can didn't
Taking them
open,
down.
you just hoping. Shit.
Beastly's our generation's OJ right here. I think it's time to wrap.
All right.
Done.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. I don't know where to go from here. Bye.
Our generation, I gotta get me a white brown.